take a walk on the wild side.
Imagine a song so dangerous that radio stations pulled it, TV shows refused to let it be sung on live broadcast, and governments or networks publicly condemned the tune, not for poor musicianship, but for the words themselves. Which song would you guess? A protest anthem? A bedroom confession? A punk middle finger? Stay with me. Some of these tracks got dragged into courtrooms, some into censorship memos, and one even earned an FBI file.
Having read the book.
Let's count down the 15 most controversial banned songs of the 1960s and 1970s. And along the way, ask what it says about who gets to decide what we hear. 15. Louie Louie, The Kingsmen, 1963. Who knew unintelligible singing could terrify adults? A garage band version of a simple sea shanty-style tune became a nationwide craze, and then became a scandal. Parents and civic groups insisted the lyrics were obscene. So much so that the FBI opened an investigation to see whether the interstate distribution of the record violated obscenity law. They found nothing explicit. The lyrics were basically unintelligible, but the moral panic left a mark. Stations pulled the song, and the story became a cultural punchline about paranoia and censorship. Why did a blurry vocal line trigger such outrage? And what does that say about moral panics? 14. Eve of Destruction, Barry McGuire, 1965.
You don't believe we're on the eve of destruction.
How threatening is a song that simply insists the world's on fire? P.F. Sloan's urgent apocalyptic protest single hit like a slap. Vietnam, civil unrest, a generation that felt it might be the last.
Don't you understand what I'm trying to say?
Some radio stations saw it as unpatriotic, an aid to the enemy, and banned it. But the ban didn't kill it. It fueled debate. There's something about forbidding a protest song that only makes it sound more prophetic. Who gets to declare what counts as aiding the enemy in a democracy? And how should art fit into that answer? 13. Let's Spend the Night Together. The Rolling Stones, 1967.
Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more than ever.
A perfect example of broadcast prudery colliding with rock and roll swagger. When the Stones were booked for a family TV program in America, producers demanded lyric changes. Spend the Night had to become Spend Some Time. Mick Jagger agreed, and then stared down the camera as he sang the Tamer line.
I feel so strong that I can't disguise. Oh my, let's spend the night.
The anecdote reads like a snapshot of 1967, sexual mores shifting, mainstream TV resisting. Did censorship change the song's meaning, or did the eye roll make the point for them? 12. I Am the Walrus, The Beatles, 1967.
I am he as you are me, and we are all together.
The Beatles, untouchable, right? Not entirely. Part of the BBC's beef with this track was a line they found risque. You let your knickers down, which ran into broadcasting standards. The song's surrealism made it an irritant to people who wanted tidy messages on the air. But here's the twist. The track's playful nonsense was a deliberate reaction to over-interpretation of Beatles lyrics. Censoring whimsy. Is that protecting decency or ensuring the authorities control interpretation? 11. A Day in the Life. The Beatles, 1967.
Having read the book.
Here's another Beatles entry that created institutional friction. The BBC reportedly banned this closing epic from Sgt. Pepper. Over the line, I'd love to turn you on, interpreted as an invitation to drug use.
Nobody was really sure if he was from the house of law.
The ban was emblematic. The establishment, watching rock lyrics through a lens of social threat, often seized on a phrase and made policy. The song remained influential. The ban mostly underscored how terrified mainstream platforms were of anything seen to encourage youth rebellion. What happens when one line becomes a cultural Rorschach test? 10. Je t'aime. Moi non plus. Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin, 1969. A breathy, intimate duet recorded in Paris that shocked every censor with its eroticism. Many countries and stations banned it outright. Yet the ban paradoxically sent it into the stratosphere. The single topped charts in some places even as it was pulled from radio playlists. This is classic scandal logic. Prohibition amplifies curiosity. Do bans punish art or reveal the sheer power of desire? Number 9, Light My Fire, The Doors, 1967. When The Doors appeared on a mainstream TV variety show and were asked to change the line, "Girl, we couldn't get much higher," to something more palatable, Jim Morrison complied on paper and then sang the original anyway. The band was banned from that show after producers declared this an on-air breach. Was this theatrical rebellion or a sincere push for artistic authenticity? Either way, the event reads like a single moment where TV's family face and rock's transgressive streak collided. 8. Walk on the Wild Side, Lou Reed, 1972.
When she was giving good head to survey, take a walk on the wild side.
A song built from real characters, sexual candor, and a lyric that, to some ears, suggested acts they preferred not to name. Record labels even prepared an edited version for radio that scrubbed a reference to oral sex and softened another line.
Honey, you take a walk on the wild side.
But the unexpurgated track still circulated widely. The debate here is revealing. Broadcasters could sanitize language, but they couldn't erase the lived stories the song dignified. When the gatekeepers don't understand slang, they oddly sometimes fail to censor it. Which raises the question, are some bans simply a failure of comprehension? Sinker 7, The Pill, Loretta Lynn, 1975.
Your last time, 'cause now I've got the pill.
A country singer singing openly about birth control. The reaction was swift. Dozens of country stations refused to play it. Loretta Lynn's song is a domestic manifesto, a married woman celebrating control over reproduction.
And from now on, won't take up so much yardage.
For many rural and conservative gatekeepers, that was too much. The censorship of a woman's bodily agency in a song and the sermonized outrage that followed feels like cultural history in 3 minutes of vinyl. What does it mean when the intimacy of a woman's life becomes taboo in the public square? 5. God Save the Queen, Sex Pistols, 1977. The punk explosion of the late 70s escalated the stakes of censorship. The Sex Pistols released a provocation timed to national celebrations, and the BBC, independent broadcasters, and major retailers pushed back. Refusing airplay and, in some cases, sales. The track's denunciation of the monarchy felt like a political act of high treason to many, though the band insisted it was alarm bell, not treason. Banning this song made it a symbol of youth rage and institutional anxiety, a record that was kept off the airwaves but burned into collective memory. Who is allowed to mock a national symbol? And why did a radio ban make the song louder? Number 4, Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues, Bob Dylan, 1963.
The communists was a-coming around, they was in the air, they was on the ground, they was all over.
Dylan was once told to change the lyrics or be cut from a live TV slot because the song mocked an influential anti-communist group. He refused and walked away. The incident is a reminder that censorship often looks a lot like self-censorship by powerful media corporations afraid of controversy. When mainstream distribution is controlled by conglomerates, art that punches political power in the face gets clipped. What does refusal to perform do to a song's cultural reach? And how does it transform the artist's identity? For a two, Come Together, I Am the Walrus, Other Beatles Rose, Cumulative Case.
Come together right now.
The Beatles had multiple run-ins with broadcasters. A string of examples shows how even the most popular band faced institutional filtering. The BBC's radio policies in the late 60s were awkward conversations about public taste, legal liability, and generational fear, and the Beatles kept pushing the envelope. When a nation's biggest artists get snagged by censors, it reveals not just the policing of words, but the policing of generational narratives. Refusing to live there. In every case on this list, banning either failed to erase the song or made it louder. Bands turned songs into historical artifacts because people kept talking about them. If you were a radio programmer in 1967, what would you have done? Does pulling a record protect kids, or just make adults feel like they acted? When a government, broadcaster, or church says this will corrupt, who benefits from that silence? Is a banned song a failure for the artist or an extraordinary kind of success? Look back at these tracks and ask, were they punished for their content or for the fear they triggered? Censorship is rarely just about words. It's about power. Each of these banned songs forced institutions to show their hand, what they value, what they will suppress, and what they think their audience can tolerate. But the other side of the ledger shows the resilience of music. Banned songs become records people trade, sing in secret, protest with, and remember. The censorship of sound often rewires the culture that created the attempt. If you liked this countdown, hit like, and tell me in the comments, which banned song surprised you most? And which one would you have played even if every station refused? Drop a title and a one-line reason. I'll read the best ones in the next video.